The global humanitarian landscape in 2023 presented a stark paradox. While the world's gaze, amplified by pervasive media, fixated on certain crises, others of staggering scale unfolded in a haunting silence. This is an exploration of that disparity, a journey into the systemic biases and racial hierarchies that dictate whose suffering commands attention, empathy, and aid. In the villages of Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, a silent war of attrition rages. Consider Nigeria. Since 2009, over 18,000 churches have been destroyed in the north. Between October 2019 and September 2023, Islamic terror groups killed 55,910 people and abducted 21,000. The 2023 World Watch list by Open Doors revealed a harrowing statistic. 89% of Christians martyred worldwide that year met their fate in Nigeria. Millions have been displaced, forced into overcrowded IDP camps, their ancestral lands scorched. In the DRC, armed groups like the ADF, an Islamic State affiliate, targeted Christian communities, claiming 639 Christian lives between January and June 2024 alone. These are not isolated incidents. They are systematic campaigns of violence, largely overlooked by the global conscience. Yet, when aid shipments were discussed, a different narrative emerged. An incident involving a Gaza reporter vividly illustrated a deeper unsettling bias. When aid, originally intended for a suffering Sudan, was rerouted to Gaza, the reporter publicly commented on the darker skin of the Sudanese recipients. This casual, yet deeply revealing remark laid bare an insidious undercurrent: Arab-Supremacy. It is a historical legacy, one intertwined with the longest and most brutal slave trade in human history, the Arab-Saharan and Indian Ocean slave trade. For over a millennium, from the 7th to the 20th centuries, millions of Africans were forcibly taken, enduring unspeakable brutality, including the systematic castration of black male slaves. This abhorrent practice, designed to prevent reproduction and erase lineage, stripped individuals of their dignity and humanity. Yet, in much of the world, there is a striking lack of remorse, accountability, or even widespread knowledge of this devastating chapter and its profound, lasting impact on societies today. The denial of this anti-blackness within Arab culture is not merely an oversight. It blinds societies to its dangerous consequences, including the potential for genocidal violence. This supremacist narrative extends into the very architecture of international aid. Data from major Arab donors, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the UAE, shows a clear pattern. Approximately 85% of their foreign aid is channeled bilaterally, often as loans, with roughly 50% directed toward other Arab nations. This is not merely charity. It is a strategic deployment of resources designed to promote Islam, strengthen Arab solidarity, and advance political interests. Aid becomes an instrument, often at the expense of marginalized populations elsewhere, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. The stark disparity in global attention is undeniable. The conflict in Palestine and Gaza consistently commands overwhelming media focus and international resources. For instance, the 2025 United Nations Occupied Palestinian Territory Flash Appeal alone requested $4.073 billion. It is highlighted as one of the top 5 plans receiving multi-year funding. In stark contrast, humanitarian response plans for 13 countries, 10 of which are in Africa, plus Haiti, received on average less than 50% of their required funding in 2024. Haiti, despite its immense needs, secured only 9% of its required funding by mid-2025. This bias sustains a narrative that amplifies suffering in one region while rendering African crises invisible, perpetuating racial hierarchies within humanitarian responses. A key factor in this disparity is the very structure of international institutions, particularly UNRWA. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, operates with a unique and exclusive mandate, providing services solely to registered Palestinian refugees across generations. This is distinct from the UNHCR, the global UN body responsible for all other refugees worldwide. UNRWA's mandate allows for the intergenerational transmission of refugee status, meaning descendants of original refugees continue to be registered as refugees even if they have attained citizenship in other countries. This politically motivated approach has led to the UN effectively taking a side in a territorial dispute. UNRWA is unique as the only international entity with global UN membership support that is dedicated to supporting only one people group. Consequently, Palestinians enjoy a privileged status in the humanitarian hierarchy, benefiting from uncriticized, often unlimited aid, which some argue can disincentivize compromise and progress towards a lasting peace. Furthermore, the Palestinian issue remains a permanent agenda item at the UN, a status that refugees from other crises could only aspire to. This unique institutional setup implicitly signals a prioritization that often sidelines the plights of others. While UNRWA focuses on one specific group, millions of African refugees falling under the broader, often underfunded UNHCR mandate receive comparatively less political action or attention. This institutional setup itself can be seen as reflecting and reinforcing the very biases that marginalize African suffering. Even regional bodies like CARICOM, the collective voice of the Afro-diaspora, while vocal on Gaza and Palestine, remain conspicuously silent on the unfolding African emergencies. How do our own local media houses play into these biases? The Jamaican Observer, and to a lesser extent the Jamaican Gleaner, consistently fixate on global media stories about Gaza and Palestine. The roots of this imbalance run deep, connecting to historical policies of Arabization and the resulting ethnic tensions. The Darfur genocide serves as a chilling testament. Omar al-Bashir's regime, fueled by Arab-Supremacist ideology, systematically supported Arab-identified militias against non-Arab groups. This protracted conflict is now recognized as the longest ongoing genocide of the 21st century, a direct consequence of policies designed to reinforce Arab dominance. Even within Palestinian society, the shadows of this hierarchy persist. Black Arabs in Gaza and the West Bank face systemic discrimination and marginalization. The widespread, casual use of the derogatory term abed, slave, highlights how language itself reflects and perpetuates these deeply entrenched racial prejudices. The media plays a critical role in shaping perception. News coverage overwhelmingly focuses on Gaza, often sensationalizing the conflict and framing it in emotionally charged terms. This intense spotlight creates a visibility funding nexus, where media prominence directly correlates with financial support. Meanwhile, the equally devastating or even larger humanitarian catastrophes across Africa are routinely neglected or minimized. This is not accidental. It is rooted in racial prejudice, geopolitical interests, and societal biases that favor certain populations over others, effectively controlling whose suffering the world acknowledges and mourns. The time has come for a profound reevaluation. We must recognize these systemic biases, challenge the narratives that perpetuate racial hierarchies, and advocate for truly equitable humanitarian responses. To those of African descent, Indeed, to all who champion justice, it is imperative to question the unbridled attention given to certain causes. Is this singular focus a genuine reflection of humanitarian need, or is it a politicization that serves to distract from and even perpetuate deeper racial inequalities? Are we, in our well-intentioned empathy, being used as pawns in a game rooted in centuries of racism? Ponder this question and the unseen suffering which demands that we confront these uncomfortable truths.